Today, I want to talk to you about something that separates the financially free from the financially frustrated. It's not just money, education, or luck. It's mindset. The way millionaires think is fundamentally different from the average person, and that mindset is something anyone can develop. You don't need $1 million in the bank to start thinking like a millionaire. In fact, it's often the thinking that comes before the wealth. By training your mind like a millionaire, you begin to attract the habits, opportunities, and decisions that can lead to long-term success. So, how exactly do millionaires train their minds? Let's explore 7 key principles that can help you develop a mindset of abundance, discipline, and purpose. 1. Think long-term. One of the most powerful mental shifts you can make to train your mind like a millionaire is to think long-term. While many people are fixated on immediate rewards, quick money, instant fame, or fast results, those with a millionaire mindset understand that real success is a marathon, not a sprint. Think about it this way: the average person makes decisions based on the next 24 hours. A millionaire thinks in terms of the next 5, 10, or even 20 years. This shift in thinking fundamentally changes the way they behave, plan, invest, and even speak. When you train your mind to think long-term, you stop looking for shortcuts and start building systems. Millionaires invest time in creating things that pay off later: businesses, relationships, skills, and investments that compound over time. They understand the power of patience and delayed gratification. For example, instead of spending every dollar they earn, they reinvest a significant portion into their growth, financially, personally, and professionally. This kind of thinking also affects how they handle adversity. When you're focused on the long game, short-term losses or failures don't discourage you. Instead, they become lessons. A setback today isn't the end of the road. It's just a chapter in a much larger story. It also influences daily habits. A long-term thinker doesn't just wake up and go through the motions. They have a plan. They set goals that are years in the making and then break them down into actionable daily steps. They know that success isn't about what you do occasionally. It's about what you do consistently over time. Moreover, long-term thinking helps develop resilience. It's easy to give up when you're only focused on today's results. But when you're driven by a vision that stretches years into the future, you're more likely to stay committed, even when things get tough. This mindset applies across every area of life: financial planning, health, relationships, and personal development. For example, someone with a long-term financial mindset might invest in index funds, start a retirement account early, or buy assets instead of liabilities, knowing the rewards won't come immediately, but they will come. In contrast, short-term thinkers often fall into the trap of consumer debt, get-rich-quick schemes, or burning out from chasing constant instant wins. They sacrifice tomorrow for the comfort of today. So how do you begin thinking long-term? Start by asking yourself a simple but profound question: where do I want to be in 10 years? Then work backward. What actions today will bring you closer to that vision? What habits can you develop that your future self will thank you for? Thinking long-term doesn't mean ignoring the present. It means letting your future goals influence your present decisions. Millionaires aren't fortune tellers. They are just strategic, patient, and consistent. And the best part, you don't need a big bank account to start thinking like one. You just need a big vision and the discipline to stick with it. 2. Master your emotions. Training your mind like a millionaire isn't just about strategy. It's about emotional mastery. In fact, emotional control might be one of the most underappreciated yet crucial elements of wealth, building, and long-term success. Why? Because decisions driven by emotion, especially fear and greed, are almost always poor decisions. Millionaires know this. That's why they actively train themselves to master their emotions rather than be mastered by them. Let's start with fear. Fear is a natural human instinct. It's what kept our ancestors alive. But in the modern world, especially in business and finance, fear often works against us. It shows up as self-doubt, procrastination, fear of failure, fear of rejection, or fear of loss. Millionaires experience fear like anyone else, but they've trained their minds to move through it rather than freeze in place. They understand that fear is often a sign of growth, not danger. When something feels uncomfortable, it usually means they're stepping outside of their comfort zone. And that's where growth happens. Next is greed, another emotion that needs to be managed. Greed can push people into making impulsive investments, chasing unrealistic gains, or taking on risks they don't fully understand. Millionaires, on the other hand, maintain discipline. They don't get swept up in hype or trends. They stick to their principles, their research, and their long-term plans, even when the crowd is chasing a hot tip. They know that emotional decisions in the financial world often lead to loss. Staying grounded is key. Another important area of emotional mastery is resilience in the face of setbacks. Life doesn't always go according to plan. Businesses fail. Investments go sideways. People let you down. But millionaires don't let their emotions spiral out of control when things get tough. Instead of getting discouraged or blaming others, they look inward and ask, "What can I learn from this?" They turn emotion into data and use failure as fuel. It's also worth talking about confidence, not arrogance, but true self-belief. Millionaires often project a sense of calm and certainty. That confidence isn't just personality, it's a byproduct of emotional training. They've faced enough challenges, made enough tough calls, and bounced back from enough mistakes to know they can handle what comes next. This calm confidence allows them to make bold moves without being reckless. Training your emotional muscles also means developing emotional intelligence (EQ), the ability to understand, use, and manage your emotions in positive ways. It helps in negotiations, in leadership, in relationships, and in navigating complex situations. A high EQ allows millionaires to read people, sense tension, empathize when needed, and communicate with clarity and influence. Practically speaking, emotional mastery might involve meditation, journaling, therapy, or mentorship. It might mean learning to pause before reacting, practicing gratitude to stay grounded, or reframing negative situations to find a lesson. These aren't just soft skills, they're millionaire habits. Think about it like this. If your emotions are constantly pulling you in different directions, you'll never be able to stick to a long-term plan. You'll jump from idea to idea, give up when it gets hard, or lash out when things don't go your way. But when you master your emotions, you become steady, you become clear, and you become dangerous in the best way possible. Emotional mastery isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about understanding them, managing them, and using them as tools rather than being ruled by them. Millionaires don't let their mood dictate their moves. They let their mindset guide their actions. 3. Focus on value, not just money. One of the defining traits of a millionaire mindset is the ability to focus on creating value, not just chasing money. While many people spend their lives pursuing a paycheck or looking for ways to make more, millionaires understand a deeper truth. Money is a byproduct of value. When you focus on providing something valuable, whether it's a product, service, solution, or idea, money will inevitably follow. This shift in thinking is profound. The average mindset asks, "How can I make more money?" The millionaire mindset asks, "How can I solve a bigger problem?" Or "How can I serve more people at a higher level?" It's not about extracting, it's about contributing. Whether you're an entrepreneur, an employee, a creative, or an investor, this principle applies universally. Think about some of the world's most successful people. Jeff Bezos didn't just try to make money. He revolutionized e-commerce by creating convenience and speed. Elon Musk didn't just chase a fortune. He created innovative solutions in energy, space travel, and transportation. These individuals built empires by solving real problems, improving lives, and adding undeniable value to the world. This principle also reframes how millionaires approach business. Instead of focusing solely on profit margins, they obsess over customer satisfaction, product quality, brand reputation, and innovation. Why? Because they know that value builds trust, and trust builds long-term wealth. When you provide consistent value, customers become loyal, word spreads, and wealth compounds. Even in investing, the mindset is different. A millionaire investor doesn't just throw money into whatever is trending. They study businesses, markets, and industries, asking, does this company create real value? Is it solving a meaningful problem? They understand that long-term growth comes from enterprises rooted in genuine utility, not hype. Focusing on value also means looking inward. Millionaires invest in themselves because they understand that their skills, knowledge, creativity, and experience are valuable assets. They read books, attend seminars, hire coaches, and surround themselves with people who expand their thinking. Why? Because the more value they can offer, the more opportunities they can create for themselves and others. This mindset creates a sense of purpose and fulfillment that goes beyond wealth. People who focus solely on money often feel empty even when they achieve financial success. But those who focus on impact feel energized, connected, and driven. Their work becomes meaningful, their wealth becomes a tool for doing more good. There's also a practical benefit. Value-focused individuals are more resilient in a competitive world. When times get tough or markets shift, those who merely chased money often find themselves lost. But those who built something meaningful, who served real needs, remain relevant and adaptable. Value is timeless. Trends fade, but usefulness endures. You don't need to build a billion-dollar company to apply this principle. You could be a teacher who brings fresh energy to the classroom, a barista who makes every customer feel special, or a freelancer who goes above and beyond. Whatever your role, ask yourself, how can I bring more value today? How can I exceed expectations? How can I make this better? Focusing on value also creates a ripple effect. The more value you generate, the more doors open. People remember you, refer you, promote you, and trust you. Your reputation becomes a magnet for opportunity. And eventually, wealth follows, not because you chased it, but because you earned it through value. This mindset takes discipline. It requires you to look beyond quick wins and focus on deeper, more lasting contributions. It means prioritizing excellence, creativity, service, and impact. And that's what separates the millionaire mind from the mediocre one. 4. Embrace risk and failure. A fundamental mindset that separates millionaires from the masses is their relationship with risk and failure. While most people try to avoid both at all costs, millionaires understand that calculated risk and failure are necessary parts of the journey to success. In fact, they welcome them, not recklessly, but strategically, because they know every big reward is on the other side of a meaningful risk. Let's start with risk. Most people are conditioned to seek safety and predictability. We're taught to stay in our comfort zones, follow the rules, and minimize uncertainty, but millionaires view risk differently. To them, risk isn't something to fear, it's something to manage. They assess it, prepare for it, and use it as a tool to grow. You'll never meet a self-made millionaire who didn't take bold steps at some point. Whether it's investing in a startup, quitting a stable job to pursue a vision, launching a new product, or moving into an unfamiliar market, they know that growth doesn't happen without putting something on the line. Risk is the price you pay for opportunity. But here's the key, they take calculated risks. This isn't gambling, it's strategy. Millionaires don't just leap blindly, they study, research, and plan. They assess worst-case scenarios and ask themselves, can I recover from this if it goes wrong? If the answer is yes, they go forward. And when they do it with confidence. Not because there's no risk, but because they've prepared for it. Then there's failure. While most people see failure as an endpoint, something shameful or disheartening, millionaires see it as feedback. They understand that every failure carries a lesson, and those lessons are often the most valuable part of the journey. In fact, failure is almost like tuition on the road to success. Take any successful entrepreneur or investor, and you'll find a history of missteps. Missed opportunities, bad deals, flopped ideas, it's all part of the story. What sets them apart isn't that they never failed, it's that they never stayed down. They extract the lesson, adjust their approach, and try again, smarter and stronger each time. This mindset creates a kind of emotional toughness that most people never develop. Millionaires don't personalize failure. They don't say, I failed, so I must not be good enough. They say, that strategy failed. What can I do differently next time? They separate their identity from the outcome and use each stumble to sharpen their instincts and improve their skills. Even in the face of public criticism, embarrassment, or financial loss, they keep going. Why? Because their focus is bigger than the moment. They're playing a long game. They understand that success isn't about avoiding failure, it's about using it. Each failure brings them closer to what works. Each risk stretches their abilities. Each setback builds resilience. This approach also requires courage and humility. The courage to try when there are no guarantees, and the humility to admit when something didn't work. Millionaires don't pretend to have all the answers. They're willing to be beginners, to experiment, and to learn in public. That willingness to be vulnerable in the pursuit of growth is a superpower most people overlook. Moreover, this mindset spreads to teams and organizations. Leaders who embrace risk and failure create cultures of innovation. When people aren't punished for mistakes, they're more willing to think creatively and push boundaries. That's where breakthroughs happen. You don't have to be rich to start thinking this way. Anyone can begin taking small, smart risks every day, whether that's starting a side hustle, speaking up with a new idea, reaching out to a mentor, or launching a project. The point isn't to be reckless, it's to be bold and intentional, because in the end, the people who create extraordinary lives aren't the ones who always played it safe. They're the ones who bet on themselves, embraced the unknown, and used failure not as a weight, but as wings. 5. Surround yourself with winners. One of the most transformational things you can do to train your mind like a millionaire is to intentionally shape your environment, especially when it comes to the people you surround yourself with. There's a powerful truth that millionaires understand deeply. Your network is your net worth, not just in financial terms, but in mindset, opportunity, and influence. Human beings are social creatures. Whether we realize it or not, we absorb the attitudes, habits, language, and beliefs of the people closest to us. If you spend your time with people who think small, complain often, fear risk, and avoid responsibility, it's only a matter of time before you adopt similar patterns. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with people who think big, take action, and strive for growth, you naturally begin to elevate your own thinking and behavior. Millionaires are acutely aware of this. That's why they're highly selective about who they allow into their inner circles. They actively seek out mentors, peers, and collaborators who are already operating at a high level. They understand that being around winners doesn't just inspire, it challenges and stretches them. It creates a new standard for what's possible. This principle plays out in every area of life. When you're around people who are driven, you start to feel energized. When you're in conversations with people who are solving problems instead of complaining about them, your focus shifts. When you're in rooms where success is normalized, your goals start to feel more attainable, not because they've become easier, but because you start to believe in your capacity to reach them. Millionaires use this dynamic strategically. They build networks that align with their goals. If they want to enter a new industry, they find people who are already succeeding in that space. If they want to grow a business, they connect with entrepreneurs who have built companies from scratch. They don't rely on chance. They create and cultivate relationships intentionally. But this mindset goes beyond just networking for gain. It's about adding value to relationships and seeking genuine, mutual growth. Millionaires often mentor others, form mastermind groups, and support peers, not because they expect something in return, but because they understand the power of collaboration. They know that iron sharpens iron. There's also an emotional component to this. When you're pursuing ambitious goals, you will face self-doubt, fear, and resistance. Having people in your corner who have been through it and who believe in your potential makes a massive difference. The right circle can help you stay focused when you're overwhelmed, encourage you when you're discouraged, and keep you accountable when you're tempted to quit. This is why many millionaires limit their exposure to negativity and mediocrity. They understand that even subtle influences, sarcastic comments, pessimistic attitudes, or low standards can slowly wear down your ambition. They protect their mental space like it's sacred because it is. And importantly, this principle is accessible to everyone. You don't need to already be successful to start building a powerful circle. It starts with intention. Look around at your current relationships. Who supports your growth and who holds you back? Start spending more time with those who elevate you. Read books by successful thinkers, join online communities, attend seminars, listen to podcasts, and seek out mentors. If you don't have the ideal circle yet, build one. Sometimes this journey also requires tough choices, like distancing yourself from toxic relationships or letting go of people who drain your energy. This isn't about judgment or arrogance, it's about alignment. You're not better than anyone else, but you are serious about your future, and that requires making decisions that support your vision. Millionaires don't try to do it all alone. They leverage collective intelligence, experience, and energy. They understand that who you're with often determines how far you'll go. Success is contagious, but so is mediocrity. Choose wisely. 6. Develop relentless discipline. If there's one trait that forms the backbone of the millionaire mindset, it's relentless discipline. Not flashy talent, not luck, not even intelligence alone. It's the ability to show up every day and do what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like it. Millionaires understand that motivation is fleeting, but discipline builds empires. Discipline is what transforms big dreams into real results. It's the bridge between your vision and your success. It's waking up early to work on your goals even when you're tired. It's sticking to your budget when the impulse to spend is strong. It's saying no to distractions, temptations, and time, wasting habits that pull you away from your purpose. Millionaires treat discipline not as a punishment, but as a path to freedom. Because here's the truth, most people let emotions decide their actions. They work when they feel inspired, they save when it's convenient, they exercise when they are in the mood, but millionaires don't wait to feel ready. They rely on structure, routines, and personal standards that guide their behavior, regardless of mood, weather, or circumstance. For them, discipline is a daily practice. It shows up in how they manage their time, protecting their calendar like a fortress. It's in how they treat their bodies, understanding that energy and health are crucial assets. It's in how they follow through on commitments, doing what they said they'd do long after the excitement has worn off. This isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. Millionaires know that small, consistent actions compound over time. Whether it's reading for 30 minutes a day, making 5 extra sales calls, reviewing financial reports every week, or journaling every morning, they build momentum through ritual and routine. They turn discipline into a system. That system protects them from burnout and chaos. While undisciplined people bounce from task to task, pulled in every direction, disciplined individuals move with purpose. They know their priorities. They plan their days, they guard their focus, and because of that, they get more done in less time, and with better results. Discipline also creates confidence. Every time you follow through on a hard thing, you reinforce the belief that you are someone who keeps their word. Over time, this becomes part of your identity. You no longer try to be disciplined. You are disciplined. It becomes automatic, built into your character. There's also a kind of quiet power in discipline. Millionaires don't need to announce their grind. They don't boast about how hard they work. They just do it, day after day. They understand that showing up consistently in private leads to results that everyone will eventually see in public. But discipline isn't always natural. It's built through deliberate practice. It means removing temptations from your environment. It means setting goals with deadlines and tracking your progress. It means having systems of accountability, mentors, coaches, partners who keep you honest. It's not about being harsh with yourself. It's about holding yourself to a higher standard because you respect your own potential. And let's not forget, discipline is liberating. It gives you control. When you're disciplined, you don't live at the mercy of cravings, moods, or distractions. You decide what matters and then you do it. That's a kind of power that can't be bought, but it can be developed. Discipline isn't sexy, it's not always fun, but it's the edge that makes all the difference. In a world full of people looking for hacks, shortcuts, and instant results, discipline is what allows millionaires to outlast, outperform, and outgrow everyone else. 7. Make decisions based on logic, not emotion. One of the most underrated but powerful traits of millionaires is their ability to remove emotional bias from decision making. While most people make choices based on how they feel in the moment, driven by fear, doubt, excitement, or pressure, millionaires train their minds to think clearly, strategically, and objectively. They understand that emotions are real, but they shouldn't dictate action. Logic leads, emotion follows in high-stakes situations. Whether it's investing large sums of money, hiring a key team member, or exiting a business deal, emotions can cloud judgment. Fear might convince you to avoid risk altogether. Greed might push you to chase unrealistic returns. Anger might lead to impulsive decisions. Even excitement, which feels positive, can cause you to jump into something without proper due diligence. Millionaires learn to pause, analyze, and respond, not react. This doesn't mean they're cold or emotionless. On the contrary, most millionaires are deeply passionate and emotionally intelligent, but they've developed the discipline to separate emotion from execution. They might feel fear, but they won't let it control them. They might get excited, but they'll still run the numbers. They might feel anxious, but they'll stick to the plan if it makes logical sense. This logical approach is especially evident in how millionaires analyze data and make decisions based on facts, not assumptions. Whether it's studying market trends, reading financial reports, or assessing performance metrics, they rely on evidence. They ask tough questions, they stress test ideas, they play devil's advocate, and they don't let their ego get in the way. If the numbers don't support the decision, they're willing to pivot, even if it means walking away from something they were emotionally invested in. You'll also find this mindset in how they deal with criticism and feedback. Most people take feedback personally. Millionaires view it as information. If someone questions their strategy or points out a flaw, they don't get defensive. They evaluate the feedback logically. Is it valid? Does it offer a perspective they haven't considered? Can it help them improve? If yes, they adjust. If not, they move on without drama. In negotiations and business dealings, this trait becomes a powerful advantage. Millionaires don't get overly attached to outcomes. They walk into the room with clarity on their goals and a calm, rational mindset. If a deal doesn't align with their values, numbers, or strategy, they walk away, no matter how tempting it looks on the surface. This ability to stay detached from emotional highs and lows allows them to avoid costly mistakes and maintain control under pressure. Making decisions based on logic also means having a plan and sticking to it, even when emotions try to sway you. For example, if a millionaire sets a long-term investment strategy, they don't abandon it just because the market dips. They understand that short-term fluctuations are part of the game, and emotional reactions during downturns often lead to the worst outcomes. They trust their process. This mindset also extends to personal life. Millionaires often make tough choices about how they spend their time, who they associate with, and what they prioritize. They don't let guilt, fear of judgment, or the need for approval derail their path. They use logic to decide what aligns with their values and goals, and they're willing to have difficult conversations or make sacrifices if it supports their bigger vision. Importantly, this approach to logic-based decision-making can be trained. It starts with self-awareness, noticing when emotions are creeping in and learning how to pause before reacting. It involves building systems that create clarity, such as setting criteria for decisions, writing down goals, and reviewing outcomes. It also means learning how to emotionally detach from outcomes so you can evaluate situations objectively. In essence, millionaires don't avoid emotion. They simply refuse to be ruled by it. They know that business, investing, and life are emotional games played best with a calm mind. When others are panicking, they stay level-headed. When others are celebrating too early, they stay focused. This balance of heart and head allows them to navigate complexity, make smarter choices, and ultimately win over the long haul.